Welcome back to Worn Out Racing. In the last episode, you saw me decorate the walls in my single garage, move everything out of the way and get the floor cleaned up, ready to paint my floor as part of my massive garage overhaul. Yeah, I'm not going to lie, painting the walls in here has been, it's been a big job. Not the painting bit of it, but getting everything ready. But it has been hugely satisfying. And I think it's just going to get better as time goes on. And it's going to be better in the long term as well, because the garage is just going to be so much nicer to work in. So since the last time you saw me, I've hoovered the floor in my garage, which feels a bit weird, hoovering the floor in the garage. Not something I've ever done before, but the floor now is absolutely spotless. And I've managed to wire brush some of the oily bits in the hope that the paint's going to take. So now I've got my latest contraption, which is basically just a broom with a roller on the end. We're going to roller the floor. Now I've been advised by my friend who gave me the paint to go really thin, because this paint has a bit of a tendency to go on super thick and it pulls in the kind of little dips and stuff, and it takes forever to dry. So this first coat is definitely going to be a really thin one, all the way up to about this line, and then we'll see how it looks, how much we're going to do. I think I mentioned in the last video that the last row of bricks all the way around I'm going to do black, partly because I can already see that's going to get grubby and stuff anyway, and I just think it'll blend in all these sort of weird bits of concrete and stuff like that. So without further ado, roller out, paint in the tray, and we'll give this a crack. Now you can't see it very well, but there was a big thick skin on this because this paint is getting really old, so I'm hoping it's going to be alright. I've just mixed the living heck out of it. So we'll give it one thin coat and see how it does. Well, it's definitely a little bit more fumey than I was expecting, and it is thick stuff. I can see what my mate was saying about it can go on a little bit too thick, so I'm just trying to spread it. Like I said, don't worry about these bits touching the wall, because that whole bottom bit is going to be painted anyway. Now it has sprayed up a little bit in a couple of places, which is a little bit annoying, but we can touch that up afterwards. So yep, I'm just going to carry on doing just up to this last little bit, and we'll call it a day. And to be fair, I don't know if he even watches my videos. I don't think he does. But a massive shout out to Shaden for giving me the paint. Didn't charge me for anything, just gave me a massive tin of it he had left over. Top man. Look at that. So obviously it's a little bit dark at the moment, just because it's obviously wet. Now there are a few bits I just need to touch up on, like this little line here is not quite covered, but seeing as I have to go back round anyway and paint that bottom row, hopefully when this is dry enough to at least stand on, I'll just go around and just touch up any little bits, but it is looking good. So it's the following day. We've got a little bit of a problem. Not a problem with the painting on the floor, that's come out really good, but a problem in that now 2/3 of my garage is unusable because the paint has dried really well, but it's still just a little bit tacky when you walk on it. I don't want to risk ruining it too much, but obviously I've still got some other bits to tidy up, painting that bottom row of bricks, etc. But what that now means is I can't build my new workbench because all of the stuff that was down that end is now here. I can't build my new racking because, again, for the same reason, and also I need to be able to paint this end at some point. There's no point me building new stuff down here. So I'm a little bit stuck. I can't even mount stuff to the wall I want to mount. I can't put up my new sign. So yeah, I need to have a little bit of a think what we can do and see if I can find a way to get on this surface to do this bottom row of bricks. Which way am I looking? This bottom row of bricks, without ruining the paint finishes on there at the moment. Right, I've decided I'm going for it. I'm just going to try and paint these side bits now, just to try and get this done. Lessons learned from yesterday, worn out racing tips, wear gloves. This paint is horrible if you get it on your skin. Ask me how I know. Wear old clothes. Stupidly, I was doing this yesterday wearing a really nice t-shirt and a decent pair of shorts, and thankfully didn't get it on either. But now I see how hard it is to get it off your skin. There is no way in hell that you're getting it out of your clothes. So let's sneak along this wall, see how we get on. This may be a terrible idea, but let's face it, it won't be my first, and it won't be my last. Let's just hope that when I stand up, my shoes aren't stuck to the floor. Well, it turns out wearing sliders was an inspired choice, so even though it's a bit tacky, it doesn't seem to be damaging the floor or leaving any bad marks or anything. So now I've done right up to the edge and just that bottom bit. Like I said, the wall's proper wobbly, so I was never going to get it perfect. But I would say that is looking considerably nicer, and actually that works out pretty well. So thumbs up for me for defying the rules and walking on it regardless of it being dry. Now on to the next job. And actually, this would probably be a good time to have a quick sit down and tell you some things that I know is going to happen. Now, I am prone to saying, putting out ideas out there as I think of them. Sometimes I don't end up doing it, or sometimes I change my mind midway and I feel like a bit of a letdown, and I'm sure it's probably a little bit annoying for you. So I'm only going to tell you stuff that I know is happening for sure. Now, I've signed the lemon up to a track day, which I'll give you more information of nearer the time. That's coming up in the end of May, so soon, and I'm starting to video those episodes now. We're going to be doing some upgrades, brakes, suspension, and a few other little bits, and doing some jobs to the car that it needs before we go on the track day, because as anyone knows, it's hard on your car, and last time I struggled chassis wise, so I've decided to pull the trigger on a load of new parts, which I'm sure you're all going to be really interested in, so stick around for that. One thing I've also potentially done, and I'm saying potentially, is I may have done a deal on the Ignis. Now, even though it hasn't passed the MOT at the time of doing this video, I've got a friend who is interested in it as is, in exchange for another car. Now, I will be swapping one problem for another problem, fundamentally, because it will be a project, but it is a very exciting one. So if it goes through and it works out, this will definitely be the biggest project I've done on the channel since it started, because obviously I did the turbo build before I started Worn Out Racing. So stay tuned for that. I will let you know as soon as I do. But if you don't see or hear anything about the Ignis for a little while, that might be it. But any of you that are watching this thinking, well, what about the 899 turbo engine build? Don't worry, I'm still doing that. I want to do that as well. It's always been a bit of a sideline project anyway, but that is the eventual engine I've decided I really do think I want to put in the Lemon. I just think it'd be a wicked engine to drive around as a kind of daily road setup, I suppose, if you will. So even though there'll be a new project coming, hopefully, I will be trying to get some of those stuff out of the way on that as quick as possible, so I've got more room to do the turbo build. All the reason why I'm doing up my garage, so I can simultaneously do projects and not be struggling for space. But anyway, enough talking about other things. I'm going to get back to the garage overhaul. Hopefully, by the time that I start filming this next bit, the floor will be dry, we'll be painting the new bit, and then the part that's actually dried out, we can start building some workbenches and doing some other exciting stuff, because as I've just said, we need to get cracking. For any of you watching that thinking, geez Ben, it doesn't look any better than it did before, these are not staying there. So I'm just putting up the racking now so that I've got the racking made, and also so I can get all the stuff, or as much stuff as I can, off the floor, put it up into the racking, and then I can paint the floor and obviously then slowly put everything back. But while this is all out in this area here, I can't build my new workbench because it's just too much stuff all over the place. So I figured, well, I may as well just bite the bullet, put it all on there. It's going to suck taking it all back off again to then put it back. If I just quickly flip it around, I'll just show you where we are at the moment. So there you go. Now I've purposely chosen this type of racking with extra shelves. Now I have actually messed up a little bit, I think, because I've ended up making these bottom ones a little bit smaller and these top ones bigger. And obviously really it probably should be the other way around, because you want the most weight at the bottom, but obviously not everything is always bigger is heavier. But anyway, so this is where we are at the moment. So I've got most of the stuff off the floor, believe it or not. Obviously the engine's going to be a bit of a pain. I don't really know what to do with that because I don't want to drag it on the floor. Like I said, I'm going to be painting the floor all the way up to pretty much this edge, just by the workbench. And this workbench here is being extended all the way to the far wall. So that means I'll have room underneath it, room on the shelf, and room on top for my actual tools. And this one, which you can also see is piled high, the plan is to hopefully put another shelf in that, so all my specialist tools could be like lined up rather than stacked on top of each other. So please bear with me while I just move these last few things, then we can get this floor hoovered up and swept. And this time, I've learned from my mistake, and I'm going to paint around the edges first, because last time, as you would have seen, I painted all the floor and then realised I couldn't get to the edges for like 2 days. So this time I'm going to paint the bottom row of bricks and the couple of inches near the bottom of the wall, then I'll roll the rest. Still haven't quite worked out how I'm going to get in and out of my garage after that, because obviously the bit near the door is going to be done. I might be able to jump the distance, we'll see. But if not, we'll deal with that. But it is coming together really nicely, even if you can't necessarily tell. And if you need a little bit of help with the vision, then just imagine this rack in here, plus another one. It's going to go against the wall here, with a couple of shelves just above, if I can, maybe just this one. And then the only racking down this end will be that far end one for me to store parts that I don't really need very often, so I shouldn't have to get to it all the time. And when there's a car here, The door then has got all the room to open up right up to the wall, regardless which way around it is. And the same way, like there's not that much on this side, so I can park it quite far over. So within reason, if I'm ever working on a car, say I need to work on the front, I'll go in front first and there'll be nothing either side. And if I have to park on the work on the back of the car again, I'll reverse it in. There shouldn't be too much on the sides. So then essentially everything I need, everything I work on a regular basis will be out in front of the car, out of the way of everything down this end. That's the theory. There you have it, one garage fully painted that I now can't get to. Now, thankfully, I have managed to sneak across to be able to just about step in to turn the light off. So, yeah, see you in a few days' time. Nope, you're not watching a video of some idiot dancing in his garage. You're watching a video of some idiot dancing in his garage stood on what is now a perfectly dry floor. This is very good news. It seems to have dried a lot quicker than the other lot. No idea why. It hasn't been as warm, but I'm not going to complain. So now, we need to decide the best series of events to get everything in its final resting place and to get my workbench built. I've already spoke to my mate Jamil, and I'm off today to go pick up the solid oak worktop that he had left over from his kitchen refurb to put onto my workbench. Is it going to be the nicest workbench I've ever had? Quite possibly. So, let's do that. Let's move some stuff behind the camera, get my massive piece of wood, and then build my new workbench. And then the big reveal is coming. I can feel the excitement already. Use the wind because it's windy as heck out here today. This is the workbench, my temporary workbench that I built about 8 years ago using some old worktop and stuff. But I highly recommend these. These are from like Clark's Machine Mart or something, just prefabricated legs, and obviously all you need to do then is just bolt your piece of worktop between the two. So these were both arguably way too thin really for what was needed, but thankfully the worktop that I've got coming should be perfect for this. Okay, it's done. It's 98% of the way there. Has it come out exactly as I'd anticipated? Maybe not quite, maybe not quite. There's still a little bit too much stuff in here, but I'll explain why that is as we kind of go around. But otherwise, I mean, I am pretty happy. Hopefully you agree that it's been worth the effort. Hopefully you like the new look. Without further ado, let's have a little walk round. Worth mentioning, I've tried not to cover anything up. I could have quite easily grabbed some of this stuff that's on the floor at the moment, put it out there and denied any knowledge that it existed. But it does exist, and that means obviously I've got a few more bits in here than I actually really wanted. Now you might be looking at this thinking, it doesn't seem a huge amount of difference space-wise, but I promise it is, and I promise you there's a reason why it's not completely finished. Now, right, let's start in the most obvious place. Now, before we start, I want a massive shout out to my man Jamil, who sorted me out with this solid oak worktop that he got after he had his kitchen redone. So again, absolute freebie for me. Top work, and it's come out beautiful. It's so solid, and all I need to do was buy this bottom piece of wood here. Now, there's a few bits on here that I'm getting rid of. I've sold these to a mate. But otherwise, hopefully you agree, this is a really nice area now for me to have all my tools set up. They're going to be getting bolted down, which they never have been. And obviously I've got all my nice tools, power tools, all my cleaning stuff, everything nicely tucked away. Now, the eagle-eyed amongst you, who just saw my little beauty rolls just a minute ago, would look at this and go, but what about this mess? Now, I apologise. This is why it's normally 95% done, because I cannot find the brackets I'd got to make this new shelf here, which then is obviously going to give me loads more storage, because I'm going to be able to put my welder, hopefully, along the bottom shelf, and then all my specialist tools are going to go across the other two shelves. So this will improve, and obviously this is rubbish, that's going in the bin in a minute. Now, I could have hid this stuff, like I said, but I'm trying to be real with you people. This is how long this kind of stuff takes. Now, you will also notice I've got a spare 899 engine on here that I'm currently stripping down, which will come up to on another episode, but it's no surprise that is to do with my turbo build, which is why there's obviously still an engine on the floor, so I can't do much about that either. But fingers crossed, you think at least that end, especially when it's finished, is a big improvement. And you'll also see my new racking, which again, if I just get a little bit closer, you will see there are plenty of gaps. The boxes aren't rammed. There's still plenty of space, and there's a reason why I haven't filled this up, because I'm not quite yet finished, because this just needs mounting to the wall here. And then all of my P-clips, all my Jubilee clips, washers, all my Jubilee clips in this jar, all that kind of stuff will go in there. And that clears me even more space. And why do I need the space, Ben? And why have you put this rack in here, even though you said you didn't want anything on that side? That's true. At the moment, at least, this is my biggest disappointment, I suppose, is I've not been able to completely get rid of everything on this side. Although, once this gearbox is wheeled out of the way, there's more than enough room to open and shut the doors of any car when you come in, so that's not such a big deal. And I'll be honest, I forgot I owned this generator. It was inside the house and I was like, ugh. But the reason why there is stuff on this racking, and it's not all just jammed into these spaces, is I'm going to start slowly moving stuff over, but I need this racking space for the new big project we've got coming, because I need room for parts, lots of parts in fact, and that's what that's going to be used for. So this is in theory temporary for the next project, and once I clear all the parts down, I may well dismantle that and have that side as clear as I wanted. Now this side has come out perfect. This is exactly what I wanted. Nice thin space, hardly anything sticking out into the actual garage itself, and my quick home built pallet thing is working out a treat. Every single oil, glue, degreaser, whatever you want to call it, is in there. So it's spot on. So I'll be able to get a car nice and far over, and it's all nice and good. Now, the door does need a clean. I know it needs a clean. I'm sorry I haven't cleaned it. And of course, I've got my new sign from StormVault. I have got some backlighting to go on this. It would be cool if I had it on now. I haven't had time to do it. Next time you see it, it'll have some cool lights around it. You'll be like, oh Ben, you're so cool. or something like that. So I hope you think it was worth the effort. I do. It's significantly more airy and light in here. It just feels bigger, and I know it hasn't got a car in it, so it's going to feel bigger anyway. So we'll see how much that swallows up the space once there's a car in here. But I've got so much more room for kind of moving things around and adapting the space for what I want. So I'm hoping that you've got a little bit of inspiration from it, because monetarily wise, I mean, I've been very lucky. I've got some very generous friends. I didn't have to pay for the floor paint, but if I did, it'd have been about £30, I think, for the amount I needed. The white masonry paint for the walls was £25. I've only used maybe half of it. The racking, this was a deal off of Amazon. I got both of these for, I think, less than £30. And obviously the solid oak worktop, if I had to pay for that, that'd have been a fortune, but I wouldn't have bought solid oak, I'd have bought something else. But the wood on the bottom shelf, that was £22. So, I mean, really, realistically, £100. You could completely revamp your single garage to make it bright and roomy, make the floor easier to maintain, because you can mop this and you can sweep it up. It's not going to soak up oils. You can get a free pallet, which is exactly what I did. You can make yourself a pallet. And if you know a nice guy that owns a vinyl printing business, he can sort you out a sign for £20, and you can make yourself look cool in front of all your friends. So let me know what you think. Let me know if there's anything else you'd like to see me do. I promise I will try and get it actually 100% finished by the next time we do a video. I have to, because the new project's turning up very, very soon. So yeah, I hope you like it. I will see you again soon, and I very much hope you like the new project and the fate of the Suzuki Ignis, which I'll be revealing very soon, actually.